What is up, survivors? This is Harv with Harv's Corner. In today's taming video, we're going to be talking about none other than the super snake, the Basilisk, giant serpent that buries in the ground, shoots poison projectiles. This snake is pretty awesome. It's more of a serpent, I guess you would say. A serpent? More of a serpent, less of a snake. Anywho, we're going to get into it about how to tame this guy and the pros and cons of what it can do, what it can't do. Now we're going to be taming these guys on the Genesis server in the volcano biome. However, these animals do also spawn in the aberration zone on the aberration map. However, the taming process is still the same. It's just the items that you're going to use to tame it are going to be different. That's about it. But we'll get into it. I'm gonna show you basically how I found this one here and how we tamed it. There's a bunch of different methods out there for sure. This is really just what works best for me, but feel free to throw something in the comments if something works better for you. But let's get to it. Alright, so we're out here in the volcano and I got my Bloodstalker out and I'm pretty sure we saw a... Oh, I just pissed off this Kentro. Ouch, 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 ouch. Leave him alone. Let's get rid of the Kentro. Let's get out of here. That's a bad idea. My webs are invisible for whatever reason. Anywho, he was over here somewhere. So the trick is, you'll see the tail sticking out of the ground. That's it, straight ahead of me, right out there. That's the Basilisk. So the trick is that we need to drop the egg on the ground in front of it, and then we need to get out before it aggroes to us. Now, the reason why I chose a Bloodstalker is because it's a little bit easier. Now, you can use the fact that animals outside of render go into stasis to benefit you. Animals will go into like a stasis and not do anything, with the exception of taming. Animals will still tame inside that stasis area. So let's see, pull out the scope so you can see what I'm talking about here. There it is, right there. Those little three forks. That's actually the end of its tail sticking out of the ground. So basically, we need to go up there, drop the egg, and then run away really fast. That's the general idea. So it's probably gonna aggro out. It did. We're gonna drop the egg, and then we're going to get out of here. I don't know why my webs are invisible. That's a little weird. So I'm gonna give this a minute or two, and then I'm gonna peek in there and see if maybe he ate it. You might have to pull him a little bit closer to the egg, maybe. Yeah, it doesn't look like... Looks like the egg's still there, and I think that's him. Or is that a tree? Can't tell. Yeah, it's a tree. Alright, so he's gotta be down here somewhere. We gotta lead him to that egg and then get out of render again. So let's slowly eke our way in here. That's not what I wanted to do. Up there he is. Okay, so he didn't come after the egg. So we gotta get him to come after the egg. Oh, nope. We need to get him close to the egg. The nice thing with a Bloodstalker is you can dodge a lot of these gas shots that he pulls. And also you have this jump that seems to help you too. There we go. So let's try that. Let's try getting out of here. Okay, so as you can see, this can be a little frustrating and a little bit back and forth, but what we'll do is pick up this egg and move a little closer to it, because we need to get it ticked off to come after us. So you could build a pen to get this thing stuck in. The problem is that it can... Oh god, Polybius. The problem is with the pens is they have to be super, super tall, or else the Basilisk will, in fact, jump over top of them. So let's see if we can do this. There you go. Eat the egg. There we go. Alright, that's good. So we got it to eat one. We need to drop another one. I thought this was gonna... Oh god. Eat the egg. Eat the egg. Do it. Eat it. It ate the one. Need to get it to eat the other one. Come on, buddy. Eat that egg. Eat it. It's good for you. Alright, so we're gonna try this the old-fashioned way. Oh god. Basically, we're going to keep going back and forth here to see if we can pull him over here to bite this egg. That ate the first egg with no problem. I'm not sure what's going on with this one. I don't think he likes us. So I'm going to try to pop myself out of render again to see if that helps. This tame can be finicky. The other thing is that we're also using like lower level fertilized eggs. A really good high level fertilized egg might have done this the first time. Alright, we're going to keep checking out the tribe log outside of render, and it should tell us if we... And it looks like we did down there at the bottom. So we actually got away with that one doing it outside of render. He ate one inside of render, and I couldn't get him to eat it. Oh, yep, there he is. She, not sure. At any rate, so you use the fertilized eggs, drop them on the ground, and then you aggro, and then you get out. You can, like I said, you can try to pin these guys in when you're doing this, but it's really easy for them to climb over things, so it's got to be super tall if that's what you're going to do. But like I said, dropping the eggs in front of them, at least if they're really high level fertilized eggs, and just getting outside of render, and just honestly just be patient. If you watched our Mega Shalon taming video, how we kind of like started the taming process and then went outside of render and it eventually tamed itself, you can kind of do the same thing here. You just kind of drop it and then get outside of render. Now, it's a little bit harder with something like a Bloodstalker because it's kind of hard to get out of render very quickly. There's other ways to do this, and one of which involves a skiff. Now, it's very easy to see these guys on the ground with a skiff, and you could fly the skiff over top of it and grapple hook to the skiff, and then rappel yourself down, drop the egg, and then rappel yourself right back up, get in the skiff, and go straight up in the air. It'll pull you out of render very quickly, and this will probably be a pretty easy process with something like that. Also, if you have flyers enabled on this server, if you're flying around with an RG, you could just drop it in front, land, grab aggro, and then just fly out. The problem here is that you want to get out of render very, very quickly. I got lucky on this place because it kind of have a pretty good spot where he's stuck in. Alright, so there's definite pros and cons to this guy. He's huge and he's very fast, so you definitely have that going for you. He's very huge, he's very fast for something his size. His attack speed is incredibly fast too. You also get crosshairs to be able to fire the poison bomb, which is basically like a missile, kind of like what the poison wyvern fires. Its stats, and this is only a level 19, you're already over 2,000 carry weight, which makes these guys excellent haulers, and their health is really good too. The amount of damage that they can put out very quickly is pretty nice. One of the disadvantages to this thing is stuff coming up behind it or on the side of it. It doesn't have a very good area of attack, and things can easily get up behind it and make it kind of a pain in the butt to fight. The other problem with this, and this does plague the Basilisk pretty bad, is the lack of any sort of alpha predator role. So things like T-Rexes, Allosauruses, even Carnos and other things, lesser animals, smaller animals, will actually ignore you and not aggro after you. Animals that would normally aggro after you. The problem with this Basilisk is everything will still aggro after you. Raptors will still aggro after you. Any sort of aggressive animal is going to see the scorpion's already looking at me. He's already coming after me. Like, they don't have that role, which kind of sucks. I mean, as you can see, they dispatch of things very easily, so that's really not a huge deal. It really comes into play with swarms of things that come after you, packs of raptors or anything like allos that inflict bleeding damage. Like, that can be a pain in the butt. These guys can go in the water, but they're very slow. I don't believe, they don't have an oxygen stat, so you can basically just hang out in the water as long as you want. But they swim incredibly slow when they're in the water. Because of the poison bomb, you can also enable turret mode on something like this too. It's really good on stamina, but you have to pay attention to shooting the poison bomb because that will take a good chunk of stamina out. That's really your only stamina hog, is by using that poison bomb. It's pretty tanky. It's pretty tanky, and obviously it looks cool. I love the way it looks. I think it looks amazing. So you can also bury with this guy, and you'll have your little tail coming up, and I'm actually buried while I'm on him. And you can also move him around while you're doing this, which is pretty cool. And then you can untunnel and unbury. It has a little bit of cooldown, but not too long. It should tell me, bury's on a cooldown. There's no real icon. I think it's about 30 seconds-ish before you can actually pop it back out again. But you can also, I'm waiting for the cooldown to go, but you can also bury these guys in the ground when you're not riding them too. It's definitely helpful with saving space and makes a pretty good little ambush guy. You can still access their inventory while they're in there, so they can actually become kind of storage units if you need them to be. The Basilisk is really fun, and This method is basically the same as it would be in Aberration with the basilisks that are in there. The only difference is that you need fertilized rock drake eggs in Aberration versus fertilized magmasaur eggs over here, making that one a little bit harder to do because you constantly have to keep going and finding eggs, right? So you can breed magmasaurs on this map, and you can, so if you've managed to get high level magmasaurs, you can breed them and basically have unlimited access to high level fertilized eggs. Where with the rock drakes on Aberration, you constantly have to run back and forth to grab them. But the method's still the same. You take the fertilized egg, you drop it in front of them, you pull their aggro, they come out of the hole, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I highly recommend using the get out of render range. I know it's kind of a loophole for sure. Like, it's definitely, I don't think the creators of the game had that in mind when they said tame animals, but it works. And if you're doing it by yourself, it can be rough. Obviously, if this is a 2-person job, it would be a little bit easier. Somebody could be holding you or whatever. And then you could be drop the fertilized egg down. And again, you can make a pen to kind of lure these guys into. You just got to know that it's got to be incredibly tall, or else they're going to go right over top of it. Speaking of them climbing, they climb up things pretty well for the most part. They get hung up on maybe some of the destructible rocks, but they climb up and down hills pretty easily. The problem that they run into, and this is another thing that plagues these guys, is they take incredible fall damage. Like, you really got to watch them when you're going down cliffs and things. You can take a lot of fall damage very quickly with these guys. But really, that's it. If you are playing on a PC server, like something that you can load mods on, what I would highly recommend is using Kraken's Better Dinos. I would recommend that on just about any server anyway, but then it adds a few things to the Basilisk to make the Basilisk, I think, a little bit better. It makes the projectile speed of the venom a little bit faster. It enables breeding, so you can actually breed these guys. And then thirdly, it gets the alpha predator rule. So a lot of the smaller stuff will actually ignore it and not actually go after it, which makes sense because of how big this thing is. I think it also increases its swim speed a little bit, but yeah, I would highly recommend that mod if these guys are something that you really like and you're on a modded server. I think that one's definitely pretty cool. Feel free to check out a mod review on that. But that's the Basilisk, and these also have like specific color schemes in here. Normally you won't see red so much on the Aberration area. You'll see like maybe blues and greens, and maybe even some purples. But out here it's pretty typical for you to see red, orange, browns, and the color schemes as well. But all in all, like, great looking sculpt, like awesome animal, and I think its abilities, whether you're playing on a modded server or even not modded, I think it's definitely useful. The weight, like, you can get these guys with carry weight up to an obscene amount fairly easily, and they're so fast that it makes them like a resource harvester that can defend itself it's a pretty ideal role for that. It's kind of a jack of all trades larger animal for sure. But anywho, yeah, that's the Basilisk, the giant snake. Definitely a unique animal for sure, and I figured because this is, aside from Aberration, this is the only other map this guy shows up on, I figured it'd be perfect to do a little taming video on this guy and how to get him. If you liked the video, please feel free to throw me a like, throw me a subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if there's a specific, maybe there's a specific tame you're working on or having problems with or want to talk more about, and we'll shoot a video on that one too. Feel free to follow me here, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. We live stream every Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, so that means later on tonight we will be streaming. And yeah, but also follow me on Twitter. We do some impromptu streams, and if we do, I tend to announce them on there so that you guys can come and check them out. Well, but that's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and until next time.